What is up, guys, and welcome back to Late to the Party, where we review movies that are over 10 years old, and we take a look at them from these puny humans' lenses. This week, we had the honor of watching one of the greatest action movies of all time. To hate this movie is to simply be un-American. Terminator 2, by the great James Cameron, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. And that's all you need to know. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Late to the Party. I'm Jose.
I'm Isaac.
I'm Jason.
Liz.
And Josh.
And I'm Nate.
All right, guys, as you got it from the intro, today we are taking a look at a sequel. I believe this is the first sequel we're reviewing, right?
Could be.
Affirmative.
Yeah. And we picked the one of the, like I said before, one of the greatest action movies of all time, Terminator 2. Man, this movie, I feel, so everyone knows where I stand on it, I believe that making an action-packed blockbuster is an art, and this movie is like, it will take you to school on that. So what did you guys think? Isaac?
Oh, dude, I love this movie. I haven't seen this movie in a long time, and when I was watching it, it was like I was watching with fresh eyes because it was so good, and I was glued to the screen every moment. Had a few chuckles with stunt drivers, catching the stunt drivers that weren't the actors, the explosions, all the CGI was so good for its time, and I feel it still holds up. Perfect movie, perfect sequel, way better than the original, no doubt.
All right. Scott's.
Oh, I like it. It's a great movie. I had a lot of fun. A while since. Well, I think we had to knock the dust off the top of our DVD. Gosh, Nate's the thing again. We're cutting out.
Try again.
Yay, I like it. It holds up. 10 buckets. Put all the snippets in there just in case.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt this movie is excellent. It's going to be hard to find flaws with the film. I think it's one of Schwarzenegger's best. He certainly doesn't look like an old-ass man like he does in some of his later films. And he's still in pretty good physical shape. So it's definitely one of the tops.
All right. We've gotten so many action movies throughout the years. I feel like when a lot of people talk about this movie, they only refer to the action. It's action-packed. There's a lot of action. Oh, the action sequences. Truth be told, we've gotten a bunch of other movies that had a bunch of action sequences. You know, Transformers, for example. They have great action sequences. You know, what is it about this movie that you feel makes it more complete than something like Transformers, for example? Nate?
The big deal with this movie is the relatability of the situation. Like, it's easy to imagine being chased by an unstoppable juggernaut just coming after you and coming and coming and coming after you. And it's different than, gigantic transforming robots. You got to put yourself into a whole different state for those. But this one, it's the time travel, it's complex enough to be engaging, yet simple enough to keep you on the edge of your seat the whole time. So, great movie.
Lego, same question. What do you think it is about this blockbuster compared to other blockbusters that kind of leave you wanting more? What do you think it is about this movie?
Yeah, definitely. It's the actions being like part of the action. I mean, we understand who Arnold is in everything he does, and it's like he could be getting shot with bullets, but he's going to protect John Connor. That's showing you who he is as a robot and a man. And we see the T-1000, and we see his cunning and his relentlessness and his stealth and his just intelligence and his brute strength, and it's all displayed through action. There's no Skynet narrator telling us that this dude's strong or this dude's the best. It's just we see it on through each action scene, and it's not like each scene is just pointless. Like, they all serve a purpose to further the plot and explain who the characters are. And I think that's why it's so relatable and why it's one of the best.
Now, this, I obviously don't remember the marketing for this movie, but was it always a known fact that Arnold was going to be the hero in this sequel?
No, they did a good job keeping that under wraps. They, when it happened, it was a big surprise. And, for me, I wasn't terribly impressed with Edward Furlong. He was like discovered on the streets to be John Connor. He had never had any acting experience before this movie. So, I mean, that being said, I think he did okay. But I really think that that it was freaking Sarah Connor. God, why can't I remember her name?
Linda Hamilton.
Yeah, geez. They're going to pull my nerd card. Linda Hamilton just killed it. In every one of these movies that she's in, she kills it. Especially when you watch the original Terminator and, the metamorphosis from being the self-absorbed 80s chick with poofy hair to just being this badass in this movie, to where, John's upset when his father figure dies at the end, spoiler alert, but he still got the most badass mom, of all time. And it really sets this movie up. How many Terminator movies are there? 5, 6, 7 of them. But this one is still the pinnacle of all the Terminator movies, and I think it really goes back to Linda Hamilton's performance.
I agree. Now, Josh, I know you're a big you love Greek mythology and would it be too much to say that this is, given the current state of technology, AI, and our fear of it, do you think this is one of those movies that should be vaulted and, praised, 50, 100 years from now?
Well, I guess that depends on whether or not Skynet's going to take over, right? If Skynet takes over, then there's not going to be anybody praising anything. I think this is one of, obviously in the line of kind of dystopian type movies where the future is real bleak and humanity's not in the ideal place. I think this one kind of made it realistic, because I think even back in the 90s, it was still conceivable for us that some sort of AI system could take over and start governing all things. And I think given the time that we live in now, that we can actually see some of those things coming to fruition, maybe not in the sense of, Terminator robots running around, but certainly in the sense of the control and the way that they narrate how Skynet takes over. We can kind of see how that's working itself out. I mean, right now still under human control, but at some point with, some algorithm that gets out of control. I mean, who knows, lasers from the sky or something. Yeah, I can definitely see that this movie would, if anybody survives, this movie will be pointed back to as kind of a hint of things to come.
Now, I know I made a quick reference in regards to Greek mythology, but I always liked the idea, you can't escape your fate. It reminded me a lot of Oedipus. That's the only reason why I made that reference. But do you think that this is more like an Oedipus, or do you think that this is, if you had to relate it to another hero, whether it be Greek or, other hero from ancient times, who would you think Arnold's character would be most closely related to or relatable to?
Well, I mean, if you're talking about not escaping your fate, this would seem to be more along the lines of a story like Odysseus, a man who becomes king later, but he has to go through an adventure and a travel to get there. And I think, ironically, in that respect, if you're looking at it from that angle, then Arnold, oddly enough, is going to probably play the Hercules role, because in the Odyssey, Hercules helps Odysseus in the beginning of his journey, but then ends up stopping off on an island full of women to have fun and lets the rest of the Argonauts go on by themselves. So in a way, the Terminator here helps John Connor on the beginning of his journey, but then stops off, in this case, for a more noble cause. But John Connor has the rest of his life and then the time in which he assumes leadership over the remnants of humanity. So this is more like the Odyssey, if you're going to really compare it on that kind of level.
All right. Isaac, going with our bread and butter, what was your favorite scene, my friend?
I don't know. They were all so good. I'm going to say the chase scene in the very beginning with the motorcycle through the riverbed and then the big old truck. That was
Jason?
Fuck, man, that scene was so good. That was my favorite scene too. Dude, the 18-wheeler just crashing through the city. Like, wow. Oh man, so good. So good.
Nate?
My favorite scene, it is when, like I said, they didn't pay off, like you were saying earlier, they didn't pay off which Terminator was what and all that stuff when the movie was released. So when you see just Linda Hamilton running towards the elevator, and then she sees the absolute doppelganger of the original Terminator that caused her so much trouble in the first movie, and she runs away, no, and she just freaked out, like just that whole thing. And when he reaches his hand down to her, come with me if you want to live,
come with me if you want to live.
The words Skynet, we talk about these movies having like a lasting impact and a cultural relevance moving forward. Skynet, anytime somebody talks about something having to do with a dystopian future and robots taking over, it always goes back to Skynet. And then, just Isaac, just in one of our previous Late to the Party episodes, did his "Come with me if you want to live" impersonation off another movie that we had seen. So, that's it for me.
Scott's.
I actually like the scenes where you see the Dyson, the creator of the guy who causes Skynet to become what it is, because if it wasn't for that guy, there wouldn't have been anything around anymore. You know what I mean? And his realization of what he's done after they tell the story, and his reaction is just like, I think I'm gonna be sick. Like, he just realizes that he's caused the downfall basically of humanity and the world as you know. And I thought he took it pretty well considering. And just his family dynamic. And he actually is another, at first, at the beginning, you realize that he could potentially be, he's the villain. You kind of think he's the villain, not just the T-1000, but he's also the villain because he's the one that starts all of this. But in the end, he ends up having his own little hero's journey too, realizing what he's done and what could potentially happen. And you see him go through that whole like arc of, you're judging me for things I haven't even done. Oh my gosh, this stuff has happened. Okay, now I gotta fix it. And he ends up, spoiler alert again, dying for that and making sure that it doesn't happen as best as he can. So there's like another mini hero's arc in that story, and I really like that part of it. I think it gets overlooked a lot.
You saying that totally reminded me. So it's been a while since I've watched this, but I realized that Linda Hamilton's character kind of follows that same arc of being a Terminator. And it's like she's human, but she becomes on that mission of like trying to stop someone from doing something in the future. And I just thought that was a really, really interesting parallel that I had never noticed before in this movie.
Beautifully worded.
I think you're onto something there, Jason. The scene when she comes to Dyson's house to finish him off, and the way that she's just like cold and hard and like driven, And I noticed that same thing too this time that I watched it, is that parallel between her and the Terminator, and that moment when she's able to flip back to being John Connor's mom. Now, in terms of favorite scene, I think I kind of want to dovetail off of Liz, although I have to say that the chase scene at the beginning is fantastic. The scene when the T-1000 drives the rigged tow truck off the bridge to get at the kid lets you know about the insane lengths to which that thing is going to go. But you know, when you're thinking of, you know, that Sarah Connor and John and the Terminator come into Miles Dyson's house to basically stop Skynet from happening, and you think to yourself, how are you going to communicate to this guy who's, you know, a software developer, a scientist, and, you know, somebody who's obviously paid a lot of money because he's got Bernie's house from Weekend at Bernie's. How are you going to convince this guy that you're trying to stop, you know, global annihilation in the future? And then you realize how simple it is when John gives the T-100 the command to basically strip the flesh off his arm to show him the mechanical hand that they already had at Cyberdyne. So just that scene when he's tearing it off and you see Dyson realize exactly what he's looking at. And then, you know, right afterward, then they have the whole reveal of the story that is going to unfold. And I just thought that turn right there, where they have Arnold strip the flesh off his arm to show the underlying skeleton, I thought that was a great way to do it. I don't know that would have necessarily occurred to me as a writer to pull that off, but that's a great scene.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'm kind of shocked that nobody's favorite scene is the same as mine. But for me, I think the scene that was just beautiful, that kind of depicted what kind of war they were fighting with here. You know, the new model is supposed to be this very stealthy, very intelligent killer, tries to outwit them at every possible scenario. And Arnold's character is coming off as this brute force of a machine that it's all just smash, smash, smash. But he shows probably one of the most intelligent. He has one of the most intelligent moments, I think, in any movie that I've seen, and that's during the phone call when the dog's just barking and barking and barking, and John's just kind of like, hey, the dog, what's going on with them? Oh, the dog's fine. And then the T-1000 takes the phone and he asks him, what is the name of the dog? And he says, oh, it's Max. And he asks, Mom, or what's going on with Wolfie? Why is he barking so much? And he says, oh, Wolfie's fine, honey. And he hangs it up, and then he immediately turns around and just tells them, your foster parents are dead. And like, to me, I was like, whoa, I forgot how good that scene is, how well it's set up, because we have this idea that newer is always better. That there's for some reason we can't find a way to improve what we already have. Yet that scene right there shows that that's not always the case. He outsmarts him. And I think it also does something that isn't done so much today. You know, you look at almost, I don't know, a bunch of, great movies that, or people who, something like a Christopher Nolan movie, or even a Marvel movie. They always try to explain, what is happening in the moment, and that moment alone explains itself, and it gives the audience, a little bit of credit to figure things out. Like, oh snap, how did that happen? That's awesome. And then the story keeps going, and to me, that's just, oh man, that's just one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie.
It's funny because I don't know if any of you watched the extended scene, like the extended cut for it, because we ended up doing that because that's what our DVD is.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you mentioned it, because that's a credit to Cameron's editing skills too, because there's an extra scene where after he hangs up the phone at the house, he walks out to the barking dog and he opens up the kennel and he ends up killing the dog and he pulls off the leash and it says what the name of the dog is. And he realizes that he's just been had and he knows. Yeah. But they cut that scene out and then you're just like, okay, you know what I mean? It helped. I think that's a testament. It's one of those cool scenes that should have been edited the way it was edited. Cameron did a good job so that you could think that stuff through. So you understood what Jose just was saying. You had to think it through. You didn't have it explained to you fully type thing. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I think it's a testament to the movie that we all had different ideas on what the great scene of the movie was. I mean, with the exception of that chase scene at the beginning, which was it was an awesome scene, but you can pick a bunch of awesome scenes in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no doubt.
So, this movie's got so much going for it. It has so many quotes. It has so many emotional scenes. What do you guys think about, what do you think it's saying about, the AI and, and love? Because I don't think the T-1000 at any time displays any kind of emotion. He just does what he's supposed to do. Yet John ends up loving him.
Well, shit, man. I think I think it gives me a little bit of hope for AI and the age of machines that's sure to come. It makes me think that maybe there'll be a little humanity, and maybe not humanity, but maybe they'll at least learn to understand. I don't know. One can hope.
It goes back to the nurture nature situation with that. Depends on who's showing the AI humanity.
Oh.
In my opinion, you know what I mean? It depends on who's doing it. Is it some asshole corporation that's taking over and doing it? Then yeah, you're gonna get the the gnarly ones. But if you have somebody who actually has a shred of decency and humanity and compassion and all of those elements and that we want that we hope humanity is, that they'll have that touch in them as well.
There was a good podcast, Joe Rogan Experience, where he has Elon Musk on. And that's one of the big things that Elon's really freaked out about, a potential Skynet scenario with the AI going on. And that's why he's a big proponent of like cybernetic integration between people and machines, because he thinks that us getting the implants would be the only way that people will be able to maintain any type of relevancy in a world where AI runs rampant. And it's a pretty interesting take. I don't want to go too deep into it on our show, but it made a lot of sense.
All right.
When you talk about robots and compassion and love, what it makes me think of in our present context, I don't know if you guys have noticed over the last 4 months or so, the spate of articles that have been coming out about dudes marrying sex robots. I'm dead serious. All you got to do is look it up right now. So if you want to talk about, in our shallow culture where we really don't understand the concept of love as a self-sacrificial, self-giving mentality, everybody thinks it's wrapped up in physical love or camaraderie or something like that. And so what you find is these lonely, disturbed dudes that are, buying these $6,000 products with, some sort of low-grade AI in it that learn how to talk to you and hold on a conversation. They're actually getting married to them. I think that's the first step. We'll get the Terminators later, but it's going to be the sex bots first.
It's always the porn industry leading the way.
That's right.
The incels need somebody to love too,
Not like that. Not like that.
Man. Death by snooze for sure.
Oh, brother.
All right. So, guys, Buckets, Isaac, how many?
10 buckets. This movie right here gets 10 buckets. It's great all around. Great action. Arnold at his best. Linda Hamilton at her best. She's not the damsel in distress. She's the one kicking ass and taking names. And she's doing it without a bra. So burn your bra, baby.
I'm really happy you said that. I'm happy you said that because I thought I was the only one that noticed. Thank you, brother. Nate, buckets, how many?
Man, you know, I want to give this 10 buckets, but I think we're going to go 10 all around. So it gives me the conundrum of, is this movie on pace with Raiders of the Lost Ark? And, you know, I want to say for what it is, that it is, man. This is Schwarzenegger's masterpiece. I think between this one and Predator. So I got to give it 10 buckets.
All right. Squats.
I said it earlier just in case sound bites were getting screwed up later in the things, but yeah, it's 10 buckets for sure. All around. Good story, good movie. It's got cultural reference. It sets the pace for things in the... It's got everything. Everything that we need for our listing of whatever. So yeah, 10 buckets. I said you have a list there. That's why I looked at you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to Lego it as well. This is definitely a 10. It hits all the marks. I think, you know, in retrospect, there were some parts of it that looked dated, but you have to recognize that for its time, it was the top of the game, and it was such a joy to watch. It was enjoyable to put that on and let it go and remember what it was like to see it the first time. I mean, the only thing. The only thing bad I can say, well, besides what Nate said about Ed Furlong's wonderful acting talent, is that there's the bar scene at the beginning when Schwarzenegger goes in to get himself some clothes and a motorcycle, and there's a, you know, the dead giveaway that he's not the bad guy when it comes out and it's playing Bad to the Bone, and I'm like, why would they be doing that for a villain? That doesn't make any sense. And then, of course, to put the icing on everything for why it's 10 buckets is the proliferation of Guns N' Roses in the soundtrack. Just top tier stuff.
All right. Lego, I'm real nervous here because I want this to be unanimous, buddy. So, what are you giving it?
Dude, I liked it. But is it 10 buckets? Yes, it's 10 buckets. Of course. Fantastic movie, man. If there was ever a movie that was 10 buckets, it's probably this one. It's so good all the way through. It's a perfect blockbuster. I feel like anyone could watch it and love it, and any movie critic could watch it and love it. It's a perfect movie. It's got the most appeal to everyone, and it's really good all the way through. So 10 buckets, easy score.
It's got the cultural impact. It's got a great soundtrack. It's got Arnold at its best. It's American. It's got 10 buckets from me.
Hell yeah.
It's America. All these action blockbusters need a good taking to school by Mr. Cameron. All right, so now, thank you guys. You lived. I hand the reins over to my buddy, Isaac.
No, it's
what
Lego.
do you got? Oh, Lego. Yes, Lego. Sorry, Lego.
I've only done this 3 times around.
Lego. What do you got for us, buddy?
Oh, is it me? I didn't have anything prepared.
The wild card movie list.
So I was thinking maybe we could do the 1963 crime drama thriller High and Low. Perhaps 1972 Solaris. It's about a cosmonaut who's looking down on a planet and seeing what's driving the people mad. Or we could also watch Stalker from 1979, where we're kind of looking for a place known only as The Room, where when you find it, all your desires are immediately fulfilled.
Stalker.
Is that the
That's
last
one for
one?
Stalker.
Stalker? Was that the last one? The Room?
So
Yeah.
it's Stalker, High and Low, and Solaris.
Solaris sounds like the weirdest fucking Lego one. So I'm gonna go all in with the weird fucking Lego movie.
I always wanted to see Solaris. I'm going with Solaris. That's one of the ones that's on my list of like scratcher thing posters. I can finally scratch one off I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I miss the Soviets, so I want to see Solaris.
The Solaris.
Didn't they
Excellent.
remake that movie?
Yeah.
That was the top pick on my list, so I'm glad we're watching it. Good job, everybody.
So where's
All
it
right.
streaming?
Huh?
Where's it streaming?
What was that?
Remember, it's the epic find it yourself, like T2 for you, Isaac.
Looks like 3 of us will find it for you. Two of them is fuck it, find it yourself, and one of them is I'll steal it for you and send you a link.
Y'all need to get on a VPN.
Would you steal a car?
It's not free, but
Yes.
I'd steal bread to feed my family. But bread is
No, it's streaming. Don't worry, guys. It's streaming.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you guys for indulging my Arnold fixation. Terminator 2. For Late to the Party, I'm Jose.
I'm Isaac.
I'm Jason.
Liz?
And Josh?
And I'll be back.